Hello everyone, and welcome to today's Biznology Digital Marketing webinar. I'm Rob Peterson, one of the bloggers at Biznology, and I'm president of Barn Raisers, a full-service digital marketing company that builds brands using proven relationship principles and ROI. I'm also on the MBA faculty of the Rutgers Business School and teach at the University of California. I have an ebook that's 166 case studies that prove social media ROI that you can download on our website at barnraisersllc.com, and it's been downloaded over 110,000 times. Today, you'll be hearing from Cody Cahill, Thomas McMahon, and Nicholas Chimonis of Page One Power, who will present link building, past, present, and future. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. But before we start, we need to recognize our sponsors. Barn Raisers, a full-service digital marketing agency that builds brands using proven relationship principles and ROI. Gagalamp empowers companies to amplify their social media content by leveraging employees, partners, and resellers. Try Gagalamp for free today. Jairus Digital, a full-service digital strategy firm that reaches deeper into the conversation than any other agency anywhere. Marketing Executives Networking Group, New Jersey chapter. We aren't just about networking to land a great job. We're about staying current to grow in your careers. And Page One Power, supercharge your SEO strategy with link building. Next, as we wait for more attendees to join, let's review the format of our webinar. We record each webinar and we'll email you that link later this week. During our presentation, you can go to GoToWebinar to ask a question. That orange arrow opens and closes your controls. If you have a question, simply type it into the box labeled questions at any time during the event and press the send button. I'll read the questions to our presenters at the end of the webinar, and we'll be extending the Q&A period today for up to 30 minutes to accommodate more questions. While we're waiting for the last few attendees to join, I'd like to remind you that the Biznology monthly newsletter and daily articles are available for free at biznology.com. So if you're not already a subscriber, we hope that you'll sign up now. Thanks again to all of you for attending our webinar. We know how valuable your time is, so let's introduce today's speakers from Page One Power. Cody Cahill is a project manager at Page One Power, where he leads content and outreach specialists dedicated to improving search visibility. For the past 3 years, he has engaged with clients to orchestrate over 50 marketing campaigns specifically designed to acquire links that improve search marketing performance, build brand awareness, and effectively engage a client's core demographics. Thomas Cahill is a team manager and supports a team of link builders executing deliverables for client campaigns. He helps his team implement unique strategies focused on client goals and offers insight and training on SEO and link building. Nicholas Chimonis is head of research and development. Through data-driven analysis and thorough testing of tools and tactics, Nicholas ensures that Page One remains at the forefront of the ever-changing search marketing landscape. So if you've ever struggled with a link building campaign, this is the webinar for you. Take it away, guys.
All right, thanks for that introduction, Rob. To give a voice to a name. My name is Nicholas Chimonis. Cody, you want to go ahead?
I'm Cody Cahill. I'm excited to be here and talk link building.
And I'm Thomas McMahon, and thanks for having us.
All right, well, let's get started. Link building, past, present, and future. Things have changed.
They have.
So the definition of link building has evolved greatly over time. All right, so link building done right in 2015 is a lot different than it was 5 years ago in 2010, and it's even radically different from 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, actually just about exactly 3 years ago when the first penguin algorithm rolled out and completely changed the game, right? So what was link building past? It's primarily rank manipulation.
Right. It was all about getting your website ranked as quickly as possible through whatever means necessary. It wasn't really a real marketing tactic, was it?
Well, it was, it was mostly black hat. It was seen as a quick, get-rich-quick scheme. It really is a get-rich-quick online money scheme, and that's really a little bit scammy. It was unnatural. It was automated. It was spammy. It was a quantity-driven game.
Right. Get as many links as
Links
humanly possible on whatever kinds of sites that didn't really offer any human value, and it was all about, manipulating the search engines.
Thousands of random backlinks with exact match anchor text. Whatever words you wanted to show up for in Google, you build a bunch of spammy links and as many websites as you can with exactly those words as the clickable anchor text of the link, right? We get clients that even just before Penguin and after Penguin, we had clients that be like, I want to rank for these 3 words: cars, tires, and wheels. Like, well, that's not how it is anymore. Penguin has changed things. It's not about blasting lots of links. It's about, well, we'll get to what it's about later.
Yeah, like when I was starting as a writer, as link building, my job was to, I'll talk about it. My job was to build exact match anchor text to specific pages on a client's website, and that was what I was held accountable to, and that's what my paycheck was all based on.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's not that we were doing it in a spammy way. We were still trying to do it the right white hat, the relevant way, where we're trying to get on good sites, but it was still that old mentality for a while, which took a lot of time and education to ship clients.
So why did everything change, though? So Penguin hit in April 2012, like you said, Nick, almost exactly 3 years ago. And basically this changed the algorithm to not only, Google had been trying to devalue manipulative links for a while and continues to do so, but what Penguin did was it actually actively punished some sites that were engaged in that manipulative tactic. And it really threw the entire SEO industry up on its head. And in some ways, some SEOs still haven't quite adapted to that. So yeah, I mean, basically at this point, that kind of link building is, though it might work in some instances to this day, it's far too risky for any brand that actually cares about their reputation to engage in. And so basically, in 2012, the game was changed, and since then it's just kind of been SEOs and businesses and search marketers kind of adapting to that change, while Google has continually tightened the noose a little bit on those manipulative practices.
Well, it's been a several-year-long re-education period to get people on the same page today as we are of our philosophy of what link building is.
Mm-hmm.
And getting them to understand that it's not about just building a bunch of links with the exact words you want to rank for, because that's exactly what Penguin is looking for.
Right.
It's looking for an unnatural distribution. And why would all these different websites around the internet link to you with the exact same word?
Right.
It's going to be, a natural distribution will include branded terms and long tail keywords, even as the anchor text, a whole question written out as an anchor text. That's very natural. When you look at a news article, how are the links placed throughout that article? That's the kind of art of natural linking that you have to adapt to, and you have to understand it's not just one page, one keyword.
Mm-hmm.
It's your whole domain and whole swath of keywords that you're trying to increase the authority for to rank for the 70% of traffic that's coming from long tail searches. It's not about trying to rank for the 30% of the really, fat head terms.
Right. A few years back, there was certain ideas clients would have when they would come to Page One Power for a link building campaign, and it was based on, okay, I want this one product page to rank, and like Thomas was saying, we would blast links to that one page, and basically like that was thought to be the way it worked. And as we evolved as a company, we realized that wasn't the most effective means. Even doing white hat link building, it didn't pay off just to try to influence one specific keyword and one specific page. So that's link building past. Thomas, what's link building present? What's link building like now?
Well, I think it's a shift its focus now on quality over everything else. I mean, people are worried about getting the best links they can. And when we talk about quality, we're talking about human value to a degree, where before in Penguin era or pre-Penguin era, it was all focused on just the number of links you could get. It didn't matter where they were. It was any bot that could crawl a page with a link on it was good. Now we're really focused on human eyes on the page. Are we adding worth to the web when we add a page with a link on it to our client's site, rather than just spamming a bunch of links out there?
But doesn't manipulative link building still work? Don't we still see spam in the
the
SERPs?
Yeah, I mean, people call it churn and burn now, because you're going to throw a whole bunch of backlinks at a page, and it can still rank. It might rank for 6 months or so, but Penguin And the filter that Penguin is eventually going to catch it and downgrade that site and remove all that stuff that's pushing it up. Yeah.
So, I think this slide holds a little quote that is dear to our philosophy. Link building should have more in common with time-tested marketing principles than cheap SEO tactics. It's not about churn and burn. It's not about ranking overnight. It's about building an organic presence slowly and steadily over time. It's more akin to how content marketing is promoted and inbound marketing and those kinds of things. It's about building a business that actually has a unique service proposition and has something worth marketing.
And that's basically the core of our message here. If anyone in the audience has this sense of what link building is, and that immediately brings up negative connotations, we understand that because, and SEOs have to take some of the blame for that negative connotations because link builders were, spamming the web and not adding value. But what we're here to say is that that has changed, that has evolved, and now it's the same term, link building, but it means something entirely different when done right.
And so for us, it means great content with a relevant audience that we're manually promoting to, that we're doing the research before we create the content. We're seeing who might be interested in the content ideas that we have. We're finding those websites, we're finding those people, and then we make something that already is catering to their interests because we know them deeply, because we've done this research into the client's core target audience. Then when we make the content, it makes sense to outreach to these people.
Sure.
And tell them about something that we think they might like. And then you earn those links. And you could call that a built link, or you could call it an earned link, or you could call it just PR. There's many different names for what this is, but to us, this is link building.
It's about building relationships with real people, right? It's about finding out who your core demographic is, where your target audience lives online, finding out what their questions are, finding out what their interests are, and then creating content or other valuable things, and then targeting that with them. It's about adding value.
Right. Yeah. What we used to do, or what SEOs used to do in general, is just look at keywords on the page, and is it relevant? Yeah, it has the same keywords. Okay, it's a good page to get a link on. Now we're actually looking at the target audience. It's not just your target audience. It's the kind of the shared target audience. You might have a number of different websites. So I'm not just interested in link building. I'm interested in cooking and fly fishing. That it all ties back into the same thing overall.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of this has been just sort of relabeled as content marketing. Some people have become, old link builders have just rebranded themselves as being content marketers. And that's cool, and content marketing is very important, but link building is a very specific portion of content marketing.
Yes.
It's like, you can't just say one is akin to the other or whatever. It's something that exists within that umbrella. It's a shared space.
Right. So you got to think about link building while you're doing content marketing and vice versa. When you're link building, you got to think about how it's tying back into your content marketing.
Exactly.
goals.
These are not different strategies. And everybody's engaging in content marketing right now. And it's a big buzzword and good. And for the most part, that's good for the web, that businesses and brands, and whether they're small companies or large, are thinking about ways that they can, create content that engages people, and that's great. But what we've learned, and what probably a lot of people in the audience know, is that a lot of people are just kind of doing content for the sake of content. They know that they need to be, doing content, but they don't really have a purpose behind their content. And there's multiple purposes. There's multiple objectives that you want out of your content marketing strategy, and one of those is to acquire natural and authoritative links to help your rankings.
Well, and so a really important part of this whole picture you just painted is that linkers are actually fairly rare. Linking doesn't just happen. If you just blast content out there, it's relatively unlikely you're going to get links. You're more likely to get social shares.
Right.
You're more likely to get some comments and that kind of thing, but links don't happen that frequently. And so you have to find the linkers. You have to find the influencers out there that control websites relevant to you, relevant to your business and your content you're producing before you make that content, so that you can outreach to those linkers and get those links that won't just naturally happen. It doesn't just happen.
Right. We come up behind a lot of PR campaigns that have rolled out, has been very successful, a lot of brand mentions, things like that, but there's a lot of link opportunities missing.
Absolutely.
Where it makes a lot of sense for a link to be right in that content, and it's just not there. Because someone wasn't thinking that, oh, that should be a part of our goals to get links.
Exactly. And I think that's partially because some of this evolution of the term link building that, that traditional marketers and PR firms didn't necessarily think about links as one of their objectives. And they should. And you want to have, any sort of, content marketing approach that you're going after. You want some sort of strategy to acquire those links, because I mean, almost any content marketing strategy is going to be to improve your search visibility in some ways. Sure, there's the social component, and you want to drive direct traffic and just build brand awareness, but links remain and will remain in the future. We'll get to the future in a little bit, but remain the core of Google's algorithm. And there's been some discussion about, oh, are links being devalued, or is Google going to have an algorithm that doesn't include links? And really, I think that I don't see that happening at any time. I think that certainly low quality links, manipulative links have been devalued a lot, but that only serves to increase the value of really quality, authoritative links.
Right. I mean, Cody, can you speak to, I guess, what kind of content has done really well to get links? I mean, people produce content, like you were saying before, and they produce a lot of it because they know they have to, but, I mean, without knowing exactly what kind of content does well.
In general, it varies from, campaign to campaign, but in general, I would say that long-form content is better at acquiring links. Curated content can be really good, and by curated content, I mean like put together a list of the best resources for whatever X niche that your business might be involved in. And you're going to be sharing lots of content from around the web, maybe even from some of your competitors. Not only is this type of content very linkable, but the fact that you're linking out to other people and sharing their content and giving them a shout out is a great way to build relationships and engage the influencers. Because as we found, creating great content is only half of the battle. And actually, it's not even half the battle. That you can create great content, but if nobody sees it, if nobody comes, it doesn't do any good. So the real challenge in a link building campaign is not in creating the great content. You need that, but really it's all about engaging, and it's about the outreach, and it's about targeting the influencers. Can you speak to that a little bit more?
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, those influencers are rare. It's a tiny percentage.
Right.
Most of the population of the internet are commenters and viewers. They're not creators. AJ Cohn, blind5yearold.com, you've maybe read some of his stuff. He's a brilliant SEO, content marketer, etc. He does it all, right? So he has a great piece about how only a tiny percentage of the internet population are creators, and most people are just sharers or whatever, and those creators are the only linkers.
Right.
The ones that control these web properties are the only real linkers that you can get these links from, and so you have to find those influencers.
So you have to find them first. I think that's a big thing that people miss a lot of times. You have to identify who you're going to target when you're creating the content, not afterwards for a large part.
So how do you go about doing that? If you're a small business or a mid-sized business, and you're creating content, and you want to get links out of this, and you want it to be shared by the influencers, how do you go about finding out who these people are and targeting them?
So we use BuzzSumo a lot. I plug it almost every webinar we talk about this kind of thing, because it directly finds the websites and the influencers that have had successful content by topic within domain, within topic, within a Twitter handle, and you can find what these people, what these domains have shared out relevant to whatever topic you're searching by. It'll give you the social share counters of Google Plus and Twitter and LinkedIn and Pinterest, and depending on your target audience, you can filter by different types of content and content shared within the past 6 months or 3 months or year, etc. And you can really hone in before you create content on what's already been successful, what has already resonated with your target audience, and so using that as a launching point, seeing what's already been a proven win is a great place to start. So we do that. I mean, we do a lot of just manual research within Google. I think it's pretty interesting to just search long tail queries and questions to see what people are trying to find out, what questions and you know, what topics do your audience have a hard time finding the answers to? And can you create those answers? And can you be the source where they find them?
And so the ultimate goal is, as this slide says, that we've been sitting on for a minute, but that the best links are going to be the ones that actually provide value to the user, that somebody that would compel a user to click on it. And when they click on that link, they would go to a page that they would expect to go to based on that anchor text. And that page is offering value. It's backing up a claim. It's informational. I mean, that was, to go back to your question earlier about what type of content attracts links, it's informational content. It's
Top
content.
of the funnel content.
Exactly. We talk about the marketing funnel a lot, and I'm sure a lot of the audience is content marketers, and so they do too. I mean, link building in 2015 lives at the top of the marketing funnel. We're not going to, you know, people don't want to link to your product pages. I mean, maybe they do sometimes, and that's great when they do, but if you really want to cast a wide net and attract links from a wide variety of authoritative sites, it's that top of the funnel content that's going to do it.
And like you said, it's about links that will benefit the user, which incidentally aligns up with the Google guidelines.
Right.
Which never really changed. Penguin changed the game. Penguin just backed up what the Google guidelines had already said,
exactly.
You know, for forever. It's
exactly.
just that people didn't care about the Google guidelines because they could still spam and rank things.
So let's talk a little bit. Let's get into the link building future. So when we talked about the past, we've talked about what it's like now, but what are we projecting for the future? I mean, you know, there's been lots of talk about, oh, are links being devalued? Are links still going to matter?
Right,
and
John Mueller.
Right, and Google's, you know, though their guidelines haven't changed, some of the messages you get are, you know, John Mueller saying, hey, you know, I think link building, right. And in our opinion, when John Mueller says that, he's talking about the link building practices of the past. Those are risky. Those are manipulative. There's nothing risky and manipulative about adding value to the web through great content and targeting people that would be interested in that content. You know.
What John Mueller said was, you know, make your site shareable, make it easy to share, make it easy to, you know, interact with. And all link building is, in the manual sense, is letting people know that you have this content.
Right.
I mean, how is that not?
Well, the point of what they're saying is that Google values the user.
Right.
They want the best user experience possible, and so these guidelines are intrinsically aligned with that. These guidelines are telling us, you know, don't manipulate the search engines. Let people choose. Let people cast votes. Let people cast their links and vote for what websites should rank. And you can earn those votes from people. Right. You can put those users' interests first within your link building efforts.
Absolutely. I mean, and most of what we've talked about so far has been links that will help, you know, improve search engine visibility and increase your rankings for a wide variety of keywords. But really, the best links that can be built are going to do that, and they're going to maybe drive some direct traffic for you as well. And so you want to be thinking about, you know, how can my links, how can my content draw in new people, you know, and those types of links are the ones that are going to stand the test of time. There's never going to be a time where Google's going to devalue a link that really provides value to the user.
Right. The algorithm was originally built on PageRank, right? Links are a thread of the fabric of the internet.
A core.
They're not ever going to not be a part of the internet, and so they're always going to want to value those links. They always have found that even with the addition of Panda, even with the qualitative signals of the content, possibly engagement factors with your bounce rate and that sort of thing, even with all those signals, they ran a test less than a year ago. Matt cuts out a video about it where they tested search results with no links. And even with all these advanced algorithms, they still were much poorer quality without the links. So that's why they invest in Penguin. That's why they invest in anti-spam detection algorithms. And you can bet they'll continue to get more advanced.
Absolutely. They're tightening that grip every day. And it's definitely true that there's other ranking factors are increasing in terms of user experience of your website, in terms of, you know, your on-site content. The Panda algorithm has gotten a lot better at detecting, you know, thin and duplicate and just essentially crummy content. And so there's lots, you know, and you know, maybe there will be some sort of social component, you know, in the algorithm. These other factors are on the rise, but that doesn't mean that that links are being devalued, you know, when they're the quality links that we're talking about here.
Yeah, we try to not think about it like a pie chart. It's more like a bar chart. And there's qualifying factors, and there's more as the algorithm becomes more complex, and as those qualifying factors are added, it's more difficult to get the value of a link. If you have poor content, if you have bad on-site SEO, if you have a slow website, all the links in the world will not help you. They're the last thing you need, but you do need them. But you have to have all of your other qualifying factors in line.
Link building alone, in the past, you might be able to rank a site just based on getting a bunch of links. Those days are over. You need to be, you know, adding value to the web. You need to have content that people would want to read. You need to have, you know, be a part of your niche community and be engaging with other people and sharing their content and linking to their content, and they'll do the same.
Well said. Well, that is what we had for our presentation. Thomas, do you want to add any final thoughts before we close up?
No, I mean, I think where we're at right now with link building is that we're starting to become more of a part of content marketing.
Yes. I
still think there's a lot of, you know, people either focus just on content marketing without thinking of link building, or just on link building without thinking of content marketing. Yeah. I think as we go down the road, we're going to see that merge even more.
And if any of our audience has any kind of more specific questions about how you can create add a link building component to your content marketing strategy, we'd be happy to dive into some more of the nitty gritty, if anyone has any questions.
Yeah, please ask your questions. We are happy to do it on the fly and give you as detailed advice as we can. So I think at this point we will hand it back to Rob and let him close up the presentation before questions.
Great. Hey, thanks, guys. I'm sure our attendees have a much stronger idea of how to conduct an effective link building campaign. But you didn't answer every question, and I've got a number teed up here from our audience for you. I'd like to remind our audience that it's not too late to ask your questions by typing into the questions box in the GoToWebinar controls. The guys at page 1 have agreed to stay on for an extended Q&A period today. Before we get to your questions, I'd like you to know that Mike Moran is now offering a video course on content marketing through his website. The Internet has now reduced distribution costs to nearly zero, so content marketing is within reach of even the most budget-challenged companies. All you need to do is to understand how to identify your audience, learn their content needs, and meet them, which is actually what this course on content marketing will do for you. Learn how to reach your audience with quality content that won't break the bank. Go to bit.ly/CMCourse1 for more information. We're about to start firing questions to our presenters, but we need to thank our sponsors once again. Barn Raisers, a full-service digital marketing company that builds brands using proven principles in ROI. Gagalamp empowers companies to amplify their social media content by leveraging employees, partners, and resellers. Try Gagalamp for free today. Garris Digital, a full-service digital strategy firm that reaches deeper into the conversation than any other agency anywhere. Marketing Executives Networking Group, New Jersey chapter. We aren't just about networking to land a great job. We're about staying current to grow in your careers. Page 1 Power. Supercharge your SEO strategy with link building. So we have a number of questions here, and I'm going to try to answer as many as we can. And the first one has to do with the subject that a couple people have asked about. Just what is the value of guest posts and to link building?
That's a great question. Like a lot of what we talked about here, like what a good guest post has evolved a lot in just the last few years. A few years back in 2012, we were doing a lot of guest posting here at Page 1 Power, and basically the way we go about it was just you'd write a piece of content that was notionally related to the niche you were involved in, and then, kind of in the author bio box, you put, oh, this content was brought to you by, insert client's name here, or sometimes insert the anchor-rich keyword. And it started off as a very valid practice, one that provided, good user experience and was about building relationships, and quickly became kind of manipulated like so many SEO things do, and people started producing real, garbage content, and there was spun content, and websites started popping up left and right that were just designed to host this SEO type content, and pretty quickly, so many people were doing it the wrong way that it kind of gave the whole practice a bad name. And so, as probably some of the audience or people that ask this question know, Matt Cutts came out a little over a year ago and said, okay, enough's enough, and there was some kind of high-profile, bannings, of certain, kind of portals that linked up guest bloggers with other guest bloggers. And so guest blogging, as it was even just a year ago or a couple of years ago, isn't necessarily a practice that I would recommend a whole lot of. I don't think it's not bad, but what's changed is getting, writing good quality content on sites that people actually read, and including, authoritative links that back up, the claims made in that article is and will always be a legitimate practice and a great link building practice as well. And so
a great relationship building practice.
Right. And so
no, I think there's a couple questions here on the area, just digging deeper into that area of what what it would link to. And Brian writes, concerning link building, what constitutes a quality link? Is it a link to an external page that relates to your product, or is it a link that links to another related product or a news article on your site?
Well, it depends. It depends on what would make the most sense to the user of that site. And so if you're writing on a site that is highly informational in nature, then you probably wouldn't try linking to your commercial product page from whatever you're going to publish on the site. So if you don't have it, you need to build a linkable asset on your domain, which answers a question for free, which is top of the funnel, which is resourceful in nature, etc. And that's what you would link to. So it depends on what the audience of that site really should expect.
Right. And any business. Oh, go ahead, Rob.
No. Please go ahead. I haven't. Please, I'll finish your thought, and then I have another question.
Okay. I was just going to say, any business, of course, wants their product pages to be the ones that rank. That whatever their money pages, wherever the conversions are met, those are the ones that they want to guide their users to. But as the algorithm has evolved, it's less about this page has this many links, so it's going to rank. It's more about topical authority and domain level keyword signals. And so if you've got top of the funnel content that's the same with the same types of keywords around your products, and that informational content is the one that's attracting the links, that's going to help the rankings of your product pages as well. And so that's kind of the philosophy that we put forward, that yes, sometimes we might be able to find the exact right site and the exact right audience to link directly to your product pages, which helps. But again, if we want to cast a wider net and be able to get a wide variety of links, we need to use that informational content as well. And getting links to that informational content will help your product pages rank better.
So Bob writes, can you give us an example of content you developed and who linked to this content?
Sure. We create, we'll go through a process by which we will kind of decide who we want to target first, or where we would like the links to come from in advance, and then create like authoritative resource guides without naming any specific clients or anything.
Well, I think we can highlight Linkarati, our kind of sister blog, if you will. They produce a lot of great content, and that gets shared around all over the web. And that's based on, so they don't have to worry about client names or anything. Jesse Stoller and Andrew Dennis and Corey and Megan, they're writing over there, and they're doing that in-depth analysis. They're doing resource guides on how to do link building. I mean, they're almost putting us out of business because they're so good. I mean, people can go there and do it themselves.
Kind of meta, too.
Yeah.
Link building guide about how to do link building for a link building company.
And that's getting shared all around. And we've been featured on the industry-leading blogs, Search Engine Journal, Search Engine Land. I mean, I kind of speak. Those are great examples, I guess you could say. You could go to Linkarati and backlink probably any of those resource guides and see where it's been shared around.
Sure, yeah. There's an outreach resource guide where we went around the web and curated all the different types of outreach guides for different facets of the outreach process, organized them all, compiled them in a nicely designed page, and put that up. And then we emailed a bunch of people, and we told them about it, a bunch of influencers within the SEO and marketing space, and told them, hey, we've made this awesome guide. You should probably check it out. And it was very comprehensive in nature. It was unique. It wasn't something that was overdone. It wasn't just copying another piece of content. It was filling what we call a content gap. We had done the research in advance and saw that there was a need for this content, and so we created it. And then we told people about it.
Another specific tactic that we've had a lot of luck with clients is kind of we call it ego bait, and that almost sounds bad, but it's basically finding the niche influencers, finding influential people within your industry basically, and then reaching out to them and asking them, interviewing them and kind of having an expert roundup type thing where you get 4 or 5, sometimes even more experts in your niche, and then you host that content, these interviews with them on your site. And not only is this popular content because you're bringing their audience to your site, but oftentimes these influencers that you've reached out to are flattered that they're part of this expert roundup. They'll link back to your site, and it's a really good combination of that kind of relationship building, engagement plus quality content that really is link building going forward.
Great. John writes, can you repeat what program software you used to look up the website and the influencers by topic? I believe it was BuzzSumo, but if you could let the audience know and maybe kind of talk about how you use it to link websites and influencers.
Sure. So that tool is called BuzzSumo, BuzzSumo, BuzzSumo.com. So we use it in a few different ways. A great place to start is to take your very broad topic and just search that keyword. So if you sell bird feeders, just search bird feeder and then see what shows up. And start very broad and then hone your way in. So you can segment by content type if it's infographics or videos or articles and that kind of thing. But one of my favorite ways to go about this is to go to the Influencers tab, which will scrape just Twitter. So you have to be working in a niche that has active Twitter people, but that's most niches, to be honest. Search by topic and see what Twitter influencers are determined by BuzzSumo to be the most influential. They have the most followers, tweets, shares, that kind of thing.
On that specific topic.
On that specific topic. And then within that screen, you can export all of the links that those influencers have ever shared. So you can see what content resonates directly with the people that you want to share your content because they have a following, they have an audience that you want to leverage. So you can see what content they've ever shared out in their Twitter feed. And that can be really helpful to guiding you towards understanding what those influential people care about.
So really, I mean, to summarize, the BuzzSumo is a great tool for two big reasons. One, it lets you find out what type of content has performed really well in your niche in the past, and also helps you find those people that you want to target and engage with and build relationships with to get links in the long run.
Right, and so when you're searching by just a content topic, it will show you all of the domains that have pages with pieces of content sorted by the number of times they've been shared.
BuzzSumo is a paid tool, but I believe there's a free version. There's a
you can get 10 results.
So you can test it out a little bit and before you.
And you can do some niche exploration if you have a Moz account with follower
is another good one. Yep.
It's a different tool entirely, but you can do some similar things with that.
Okay, and drilling down a little bit deeper, if Ben writes, for an industry that's later to adopt, like the HVAC industry, it seems that even BuzzSumo has a hard time identifying relevant recent content as the metrics pick up just a few select pieces that are adopted beyond that industry. How would you evaluate influencers in a market that has resisted putting it much online?
Well, I think there's probably a big opportunity there to be one of the first, to be the leaders of that industry, because everything is slowly, eventually getting online. You might not be able to use BuzzSumo yet, but a good alternative would be to find relevant forums in your niche. That's oftentimes, especially in some of those niches that have kind of been hesitant to adopt social or move online, there's usually forums out there with just a wealth of questions you can find, and influential people in those forums. You can see, if someone has 3,000 posts in a forum relevant to your niche, then that's probably an influencer.
And these forums or communities, sometimes these are happening on blog comments. Probably in the HVAC niche, I would imagine that there would be more like in the forums and kind of technical and stuff. But from there you can really see what kinds of questions that are coming up a lot, and what types of subjects are coming up frequently, and then creating your content to answer these questions that your target demographic would be having, and that that's really what I would recommend, and that's what you want to be thinking about. You want to be thinking about what are my potential customers, what we call pain points, what are the questions that they have, what are the hurdles that they would have and before they would call you, or the reasons that they do or do not contact a specific contractor, and create content that addresses those needs.
Something to do with those more technical issues too is to just jump on board with a bigger media outlet and try to be that expert for that subject.
Okay.
And bring you to a larger audience overall than what you could do alone.
Okay. Shifting into a new area. Martin writes, what about anchor text? And I think he's also asking the question about putting keywords as the element that's a part of your link.
It's a great question. The best way to do anchor text is to have it be whatever makes the most contextual sense for the user on the page. So in other words, you're not going to try to stuff your keywords in there if that doesn't make sense. Now, having said that, anchor text is still a very powerful signal, and so that's why you want to be creating content in which that lends itself to what we call partial match anchor text. And so you want your links to be coming in with a wide variety of anchor texts, some what we call white noise, like click here kind of things, and then some that include variations of your keywords. It's not about getting all your links with that one anchor text, and the most natural way is to let the webmaster determine, how they're going to link to you. And in your outreach, you can phrase your outreach in such a way as to suggest anchor text. But I strongly wouldn't recommend any link building campaign go out specifically to try to get certain types of anchor text, because the kinds of sites that would basically give you whatever anchor text you want aren't necessarily the sites that are going to possess the most authority. And so really, really anchor text is still a powerful signal. It's something you want a variety of, and something that if your content strategy is good, you can get those kind of, sometimes exact match, sometimes partial match of your primary keywords.
So Barbara asks, I believe it's related to Martin's question, can you give us an example of how you use anchor text?
Yeah. So, I mean, we can use the HVAC example to a degree. If you had a piece of content that was, long tail in nature, like how to clean your HVAC filter or something like that, if you were going to get anchor text to that page, it could be a host of different things, like check out this post on cleaning your HVAC filter. That itself could be a long tail piece of anchor text.
Cleaning your HVAC filter would probably be the link in that.
Yeah. The best anchor text is going to compel a user to click on the link. And when the user clicks on that link, they're going to go to a page that they would expect to go based on that anchor text. And so, to use HVAC as an example again, if what you really want to rank for is HVAC Denver, you're not going to go out and build links with just that exact match anchor text, because that provides really no user value unless it's specifically you're writing a post about HVAC contractors in Denver, but the scope of that would be very limited. But you'd be looking for other things. You might want to get on sites that are Denver specific, and you might want to have the words Denver around the anchor text, because as we found, it's not just the anchor text that's setting that signal; it's the words on that page. So
very much so, and I'd say that if you're worried about that, try to understand that it's mostly the on-page SEO signals, and that's going to give Google the keyword relevance of your page, what your title tag says, what words are in your title tag, what words are in the content on your page. And the link portion of what you're doing is to get authority, is to get votes. Is try to avoid using links to influence certain keywords. Try to get the authority, try to get the votes to your site, and then tinker with the keywords on your pages you're getting the links to.
You want to be building links with authoritative links, and then links with topical authority as well.
Right.
Now that's a good point about just always remembering that links are to build authority. Now, Christian asks, are there easier and more difficult verticals to build links for?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's no question about that. I mean, basically, anytime you have a client that has a hobbyist or enthusiast niche behind it, when people, like for example, bird feeders is another, if people like to go birding, so there's lots of birding blogs and there's lots of birding websites and et cetera, et cetera. But HVAC, like there's not as many hobbyists, so there's a different angle you have to take at that. It's always very easy when there's people that are just legitimately really enthusiastic. Yeah, big communities, pets. Yeah, pet niche is great. You can just attach cute pictures of pets in your outreach emails, and you'll always get a response back. I mean, but it depends. If you're doing car loans or insurance or what, that's harder.
Right.
And so then you really need to focus on creating content that is very, very top of the funnel, that's very helpful. How to manage your finances and budget guides and that kind of stuff is what you have to do if you're trying to link build for a credit card company, because you're not going to get links to the credit card pages without someone asking for some money. And so it just depends.
Did you have a? This is an interesting question. Is there a percentage value that you would say links account for as a part of your overall rank?
I mean, most of their study or their cumulative, their Q&A with the industry leaders about what ranking signals are there. I mean,
I think it very much depends on the competitiveness of the keyword you're trying to rank for. So very frequently, if it's very low competition, you can just change your title tags of the pages you want to improve ranking for, and that's all you have to do. But you're going to hit a certain ceiling where you've optimized your technical SEO, where you have great content, et cetera, and links are just the last thing that can help you at all. You can't do anything better with your engagement, and you have great engagement metrics, and you have great content, and great technical SEO, fast site. Everything is in line except links. You might say that links are the majority of the pie left to improve your ranking in that situation. Now, maybe you have lots and lots of links, but bad at technical SEO and bad page speed, and those things are hindering the value of your links. So I don't think there's any static percentage you could apply to say the Google algorithm weighs 67% towards links and 23% et cetera. It will never be that way. It will always be an intangible number that we'll never know because Google's a black box.
And it'll change every day.
And it'll change every day based on what your competitors are doing and the organic, ever-flux nature of the web.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm afraid I can't give a percentage answer.
No, it was a tough question. I agree. So let's get into the subject of pricing. What should a typical link building campaign cost? Ben asks. And maybe what's the range? How do you determine the value of the pricing? Just if you could talk about that a little bit.
Well, there's a few different ways you can go about selling link building. You can try to sell it by the link, but that's very difficult because of the nature of every link having a different certain amount of power that's somewhat difficult to gauge. We know that a link from CNN is much more powerful than a link from a brand new mom and pop blog, right? So it's hard to charge by the link because how do you ascribe value to something that's very qualitative in nature due to how complex the algorithms are? So we charge by the hour at Page One Power. We sell our units in 40-hour blocks of time, and we'll execute 40 hours over the course of a month. And during that time, we are completely transparent with everything we do. We report on the sites that we find and the outreach that we're doing, the links that we're getting, and we just give you all of our work work, and that's what we can promise for 40 hours of time. And so you can see that that work's being done, and you can see the links coming in. And on average, in an average difficulty niche, we might get 8 to 10 links in 40 hours. Or, you know, if there's a really easy niche, we might get more. If it's really hard, we might get less. And depending on how competitive your niche is and the keywords you're trying to rank for is going to dictate how many hours of time and how many links you need. And it's very difficult to tell someone that. So the way we see link building as part of the legitimate marketing, digital marketing sphere is that link building is an investment, just like any other kind of marketing, that you invest in continuously, and the longer you invest in it, the more return you will get.
And that's the key point there is that, and this goes back to what link building used to be. I mean, it used to be something that you would invest in maybe as a one-time or here and there, and you would invest in it for a couple months and then and see the results you were looking for. And it doesn't work like that anymore. It's something that momentum is built up.
Right.
The more you do it, the more the better you get at it, basically.
As you build authority, you
Right.
can get
Right.
more authoritative links.
You continue to leverage your wins for bigger wins, and this is true with your content as well. And so it's not just something, okay, I'm going to, oftentimes people want to talk, what's the cost per link? CEOs and stuff want to know, okay, how much am I paying per link? And like Nick said, it's very difficult to, we can say, okay, well, this is about what it's going to cost on average, but all links aren't created equally. A really authoritative link is worth maybe thousands of dollars, really, in a true ROI sense, and garbage links aren't even worth, aren't worth.
They're worth
the
negative dollars.
$5,
Your site.
Exactly. So it's a difficult question to answer on a specific, how much is a link worth, but a link building campaign is a long-term thing. It's not cheap, but in the long run, it does pay off.
Okay. I'm going to ask one last question, and then we'll wrap it up. Are there any books that you've read or would recommend just to the audience on link building or even SEO, really great SEO in general?
Yeah, absolutely.
The Art of SEO.
Yeah, The Art of SEO was co-authored by Rand Fishkin of Moz, Eric Inga of Stone Temple Consulting, an Italian guy whose name I can never remember. But he has really good advice in there too. Yeah, it's like semantic search stuff. So that's one of the few texts that is evergreen. It's one of those books on SEO that is aligned with the Google guideline concept, so it remains relevant and timely throughout the test.
And it's not about specifically about links, but there is a lot about links and this engagement and some really good raw data, hard numbers to back up their claims. It's my favorite SEO book.
And there's one other book that I really like, written by Ian Lurie of Portent Interactive, and it's called One Trick Ponies Get Shot. It's not just about digital marketing agencies. It's really about any business, but it's very much about trying to invest all your eggs in one single basket, and that the best kind of digital marketing is very diversified, and you're hitting all the fronts and very holistic, right? So I really like that one from him.
Great. Well, thanks to Cody, Thomas, and Nicholas for all these great ideas, and thanks especially to our audience for your participation and your questions. If any of you have questions that we have not had time to answer, you can email your questions to Eileen@mikemoran.com, and she'll be sure to get them to our presenters for the answers. Later this week, we'll send you all a link to the recording of this webinar to listen to again and to share with others. We'd also like you to mark your calendars for our next Biznology webinar, Choosing Metrics That Drive Content Marketing ROI, with Glenn Kushner, scheduled for 11 a.m. U.S. Eastern Time on May 12th. We hope to see everyone back there then, and thanks for everything, guys. Bye, everybody.